of religion, look at leadership at large, and it's going to be informative. It's going to be great. Welcome. Okay, to help us this morning in our conversation is again David Kamau, and I'm so happy to see you.
Happy to see you.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
How have you been?
I've been good.
Yes.
We are pushing on well.
All right.
We thank God.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm so happy to see you. I think a lot has happened.
True.
And we need to talk. Because this is our country. And we know things that are bedeviling our country.
Yes.
And we must be bold enough.
Correct.
To speak.
Yes.
Fear is not our portion.
No, it can't be.
We have to call things as they are and help our people to know the truth of the matter.
Correct.
So welcome to our conversation today.
Thank you again.
I'm really happy to see you here.
Happy to see you too.
We go straight to our conversation, and okay, whatever matter we touch, we go to leadership. Because I think it is John Maxwell who said everything rises and falls with leadership.
Yes.
So if it's about Shakahola or any other place,
it is leadership.
It's all matters of leadership.
True.
And have you been surprised by what has happened in Shakahola?
Well, I think it is one of the biggest surprise for the year. I would say.
Yeah.
It is something that we would not have expected it to happen. And I think there is a lot of lapse, I would say. But even before I go to what is happening there, I think if we go to the Bible, we would be able to see some of these things that we are seeing at Shakahola.
Yeah.
And maybe I can read some few verses from the book of Acts, chapter 20, and leading from verse 28 to 29.
That is in order.
So it says, so keep watch over yourself and over all the flocks which the Holy Spirit has placed in your care.
Oh, okay.
Be shepherds of the church of God, which he made.
Yeah.
Which he made his own through the blood of his son.
Yeah.
And then verse number 29 is actually what we are seeing in Shakahola. It says, I know that after I leave, fierce wolves will come among you, and they will not spare the flock. So it is something that Jesus had already warned. That there are some few people who will be wolves. They are not shepherds. And therefore we must take care as Kenyan people, as people of God. We must take care, because there are some people who are wolves, but really they are not shepherds. And if you go to the book of Matthew chapter 7 again, verse number 15, the Bible says that you will know them by their fruits. So a tree, you will always get to know which kind of a tree it is by the fruits it produces. So the first time that we heard about this Paul Mackenzie talking about some few things which were out of doctrine, that is the time, that was in 2019, I guess. It is the time we would have realized that this man is not truthful. And therefore he is not a shepherd. He is actually someone who is after the sheep, and he wants to devour them. And therefore I think it is something that all Kenyans need to be very careful about. They need to be very careful about the leadership, about the people who are leading them, because some of the people are actually out there to devour them. Then the only thing that you have said, actually, it is so surprising that we have a lot of intelligence in this country. So we already know there are some activities which are happening, even at that forest at Shakahola. So what the question we are asking, where are chiefs? Where are all the county chiefs and even the security people in that particular place? When people are going there, they are not coming out. So there is something which is not very right. And I think for me, from where I sit, I think the government this government and the previous government, because this whole issue started in 2019 there.
Yes.
So there is actually a lapse, and I think we are not very serious. Or I think there could also be some people who are compromised in terms of corruption. Again, the corruption, leadership and corruption. Because there must be something which was happening. You cannot tell me that something would be happening here and we don't know what is happening. The intelligence cannot know what is happening. So I think it is a surprising thing, and it is the high time that our government come out clean on this issue, because I think it is not right. For losing over 100 people, it is not a good thing. It is a very bad thing. And what I am seeing right now, people talking about the church, there are some people who are not people of God. They are actually
criminals.
They are criminals. Therefore we should not be calling them even pastors, because they are not people who are leading people anywhere. They are just out to exploit the people, and it is quite a sad affair.
So you are saying that now leadership has been caught napping.
Yes.
And because it is not possible for such crime of such a big magnitude to happen without being noticed. Now, when you look at leadership, because there's a leader everywhere. We have a sitting president. We have the cabinet secretary in charge of security. Then we go down to the commissioners, the county commissioners, and the deputy county commissioners, and assistant deputy county commissioners, which would now stand in the place of the ODOs before we come to chiefs. And then when you come to the chief, you find also there's an assistant chief. Then you go down to the nyumba kumi. The nyumba kumi.
That is the thing.
So don't you see it as a leadership failure? Isn't this a leadership failure?
Well, Everett, there is no other terms that we can put in there. I can tell you that that is actually a serious leadership failure. And I think that's where we are saying our government need to come out clean. Because they were aware, and I would say from here, we said fear is not our portion.
It's not our portion.
And therefore, I feel that the government is sleeping. There is no way such a magnitude, something like that can happen without the government getting to know. And right now, I would say that the government need to be accountable. And they need to go investigate without fear. They investigate the whole of these issues, and the people who are capable, they should be put behind bars. Because let me tell you, they are actually even bringing down the name of Jesus. When you talk about the church, what kind of a church is that one? It is not a church. And therefore they need to differentiate the church and criminals, as we have said. And therefore we need to see a lot of action from the government side. And the government also need to be very careful, because today we are talking about Shakahola. If the government is not going to wake up, then we are going to hear in another place another kind of a scenario which is like that, which is quite unfortunate. And therefore I do not really understand what the government was doing. We have all the security apparatus, as you have said, and therefore it is impossible that they never got that information.
Is there have we come to a place where leaders in this country are failing to act at what is obvious? Because that is the image that is coming to us. Is like a leader knows this is wrong, I should take action, and they fail to take action. And how is it affecting our overall leadership in the country?
Well, let me say that when you find that the leader is not acting on something that literally, when you look at it, it should be acted upon, then it tells you there is something more than what is happening. And why leaders will not act is because they are benefiting from what is happening. And I would say that there are some few people who are leaders, and we said, starting from assistant chief, nyumba kumi, and all those kind of things, there must be something that was happening that was making them not to be able to act. Because we keep on talking about the criminals, and we keep on seeing the policemen. Even let me say a good example. There was something, the demonstrations which was here. You have seen the way the government has acted. That even the people who wanted to go and take even their letters to various offices, they could not access, because they were serious about that issue. And that's why we are saying the same seriousness ought to have gone in those places. Why it is not there, it is because we can say from here there are some few people who are beneficiary of the whole scheme. And that's why we are saying the government failure to act, for us as Kenyan people, we don't see a good way.
I really would love to hear you talk about responsibility, the leadership responsibility, because if a leader has taken upon himself the leadership responsibility, he is not there for money, he's not there for fame, he's not there for anything else, he's there to bring leadership, to make it come to pass, to give direction, and to make sure things are done as they are supposed to be done.
Correct.
So please talk about leadership and responsibility. And this is not only about Shakahola, but the national, nationally.
Correct. Yes.
If you are a leader, don't you see the responsibility? Because everybody depends on you. How will you just fail to act when everybody, even lives of men and women, depend on the position that you hold?
Well, I think it is quite unfortunate that many of our leaders are not leaders. We may call them, and that's why we say they are political leaders and they are other leaders. Let me say, when you bring politics in whatever you do, you cease not to see even what you are supposed to be seeing. And that is actually where responsibility is not. Whereby someone is not so much interested in actually making a change in the lives of the people. And I think most of the leaders that we have right now, especially the political leaders, they lack in terms of the responsibility. And I will tell you, Leverett, why I'm saying this. Yesterday I was watching the news. And when I was watching, I saw something about within 14 days, the members of the county assembly, the MCAs, they want to increase their pack up to around 400,000 Kenya shillings, which is 5 times than what they are getting right now. That goes to saying that every year we want to increase 32 billion in our budget. When you find that the country is struggling, what kind of a responsibility do they have? They don't really care about this country. What they care about is what gets into their pocket. And that's where you'll find there will be no responsibility. Because people are looking at things not because they want to advance the life of the people who voted for him, but what they are looking, when they get into their offices, what they are looking for is how much money can I be able to make out of this thing? What is it that I can do? Yesterday again you saw, and the issue is, you saw the former governor of Kiambu, Waitito, and he is being told that you need to deposit 24 million, and also in terms of your properties, they have been frozen. Why? It is because of the issues to do with corruption, lack of accountability, lack of responsibility. And I think most of the leaders in this country, they don't care. And that's why Jesus really warned about this. After I leave, there are some people who will actually be like wolves. So what we are finding is that there is no leadership, there is no accountability, which is a very unfortunate scenario. And this is something that we are calling upon the government. And we are saying we need to see more actions, people-oriented actions, not self-beneficial, where you are benefiting yourself. Because we have moved to whereby anybody can do anything as long as they have something that is getting into their pocket. And when they have that kind of mindset, Leverett, I can tell you, no responsibility, no accountability, because one life is too many for us to lose when we have a government
So it should go straight to every leader.
Yes.
Right from the president.
Correct.
To the Nyumba Kumi leader.
Down there.
That leadership is responsibility.
Correct.
You don't stand there as a shadow. You are there to actualize leadership.
Correct.
At that level where you are a leader. That one is settled, and I think you have analyzed it well. But let's also look at the case of Ezekiel Odero. Where do you place it? Because yesterday he was set free. When I look at what he's doing in Mavueni, it looks like a very good really project. But and the government is not seeing, I think to see him released, the government does not appear to pin him with anything. That is why he's out on bond. But from where you stand, what do you think made him to be arrested in the first place?
One, what made him to be arrested? Ezekiel.
Yeah.
Is actually looking at him. There was a lot of connection between him
and Mackenzie. Okay.
And that's where we are saying, the Bible says, two people cannot walk together unless they are one. And let me say, the fact that they are so comfortable with one another, it can tell you something. Why I am here with you right now is because we are believing. We share. Yeah, we share. There is something in common that we share.
Yeah.
So if, for example, they see me in this church, they will actually get to see you in the sense that there is a common thing that brings us together. And what now made Ezekiel to be taken to the cell is because, one, he has a lot of connection with him. And therefore, it is only that we are saying, sometimes even our laws are not good. And that's what we say. Do you know, many people who are at committee, quite a number of people are good people who should not be in committee.
Yeah.
And many people who are walking free are the people who are supposed to be at committee.
Yeah.
It is only to do with the laws. That sometimes you go to the magistrate and you are able to prove your point. You have the strongest lawyers. You know, people who can actually argue things. And at the end of the day, it is like there is nothing that you have done. Someone can actually kill and get a very good lawyer and get there before the judge. And the judge says, this man has done nothing.
Are you saying that a criminal will get free, will get away with it if he gets the likes of those lawyers? I saw he was represented by Dunstan Omari or better.
Then they are serious lawyers. By the way, in terms of that career, these are some of the strongest lawyers that you can ever have. And I can tell you, it is easy for them to win a case. Even when they are actually good grounds.
Now, you know, there is what government cannot interrogate Ezekiel for. Because the government and the police officers are not, they are not custodians of the doctrine of our Christian faith. So he might get away with, he may appear to be innocent in the eyes of the government and every other. But when you look at Bible doctrine, the Christian doctrine, don't you think there is a lot to be done? Because he is doing things like other false prophets have done. He is selling oil, he is selling relics. So all this money is coming from water, is coming from these things. And I think people are fearing to call it as they are. There was a man leading a ministry here. We know many of them. Let's not mention another name. But what I know, he has gone the way of even some of the people that were disgraced on television because they were selling prayers. They are selling Holy Communion. For you to partake that Holy Communion, you pay a certain amount of money. And even if the government is silent, should the church be silent?
No, the church should not be silent. And actually the church, as you talked about the responsibility, where does the responsibility lie? It actually lies now on the church. And I think that's why the discussion which is going on about now being able to legislate the church and all that, it is a healthy discussion in the sense that we need a body that is able to start, and that is actually a body, I would say, it need to be formed not just by the government,
but
actually
within the
from
church.
within the church.
Because we have got very sober ministers and very sober bishops.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the church needs to assess, because we understand the Bible and we know there are signs. I am happy that on Sunday you are talking about the cults.
Yeah.
And it is actually something that you really brought it out, and some of the characteristics of that kind of a group. And when we look at them, there is something they really take. It is like they take care of the people. There is a common thing that they are doing, but at the end of the day, they introduce other things, and many other people from their natural way, they cannot be able to see what these people are doing. But because we are spiritual and we are the custodians of the doctrine, we can be able to tell this is not a man of God. This is a man of God. And I feel the church has a big responsibility, and we need to come out and say there are some few people who are not leading the people to the way of the kingdom of God. And we say this church is not a godly church. So it is our responsibility, and I feel, as you have said, some of these people, the things they are doing, actually it is not godly. Can I say one thing? There is no one man in this world who can save. It is only Jesus Christ who can save. There is no one who can deliver and do many other things. It is only our Lord Jesus Christ who can do these things. And therefore, it is not our responsibility, Reverend. When we speak what God has sent us to speak, God has the power to act on His word. We don't really need to manipulate people on so many things. And that's what they are doing. They are manipulating people. People are innocent. Because you see, the book of Hosea says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And therefore what they are doing is, because many people are not having that knowledge, they will actually come and do very many sarakasi, very many things, and they actually get money, extort the people, and all these kind of things. Therefore, you have said it rightly, we need the church to come together. And we have a body which is going to be without fear. They are going to say, you are not doing the right thing.
I think we are going to take a short break, but it should be clear to everybody, whether it is Ezekiel, whether it is Mackenzie, whether it is any other prophet or apostle that has not been arrested by the police. When you begin to engage in selling relics, selling handkerchiefs, and selling water, and selling prayer, so that every ministry you do for people, they have to buy it. It is wrong. It was wrong yesterday. It is wrong today. It will be wrong tomorrow. I think we take a short break at that point. We'll be right back. Don't go very far.
With great love and joy, I especially welcome you to worship with us at Redeemed Gospel Church Buruburu. This is a true family church, a true spiritual home. Redeemed Gospel Church Buruburu is home to exuberant prayers, deep and true worship. A house of prayer that will leave you feeling refreshed. Our first service starts at 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. and our second service starts at 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. On Wednesdays, we have our midweek service from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and every Friday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. we have our night of glory. This is the church you have been looking for. This is the place for your spiritual growth and maturity. See you this Sunday and karibu sana.
Pastors are human. Worship leaders are human. All ministers of the gospel are also human. What happens when the expectations of the society are not met? What happens when the minister cannot handle all the pressure from the society? Join me, Pastor Julius Olode, together with the other kingdom ministers, as we handle these matters, as we tackle these issues here at the Kingdom Ministers Reality Hour on EBN TV every Saturday from 7:30 in the evening up to 8:30 in the evening. And the Lord will bless you. Shalom.
And we are back with the conversation on leadership on this program we call the Leadership Challenge Show. I'm glad that you are watching. Thank you for joining us in this conversation. We are going to converse a little bit again, David Kamau, on the fight against corruption.
Yes.
And the state of corruption in this country. And it is really something that we need to give our attention, because if you can see people dying because somebody was made to close, was blindfolded by a bribe.
Correct.
And he let so many people die, yet he knew that this was happening.
Yes.
Then we are in a pathetic situation.
Yes.
And something must be done, and it must be done immediately. We have seen the new leader, the chair of the EACC,
yes.
Bishop Reverend David Oginde. I don't know what you feel about his coming, and what are your expectations?
Well, thank you for that question. My heart is well elated. I'm feeling good, and I would say why I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
David Oginde, Bishop, he is a man who is known in speaking the way things are.
Yeah.
Either to the government or to the power that may be.
Yeah.
And I don't really think he is a man that is going to be taken loud in circles. You know, there are some few people who actually hold, the things of God in such a powerful way. And I think one of the characteristics and qualification that has made him get there is actually for him, he is honest. And he has talked about this even in terms of his preaching. He has been very consistent in some of these things. And therefore my expectation is that he is going to stand on the truth pedestal, and he will not be moved. And I am not really seeing him being a man that can be tossed. They put him there, and I think they will get what they are. They have put him there to do. Because he is one of the man, I think, in this country, even in the doctrine, he is one of the man who have stood firm in the faith of Christ. And therefore I have no doubt that he will be able to deliver. After some few months, we'll be able to compare. I know there are some few people who will actually start throwing words at him, but he is also not a man who can be easily intimidated.
Okay, now he is taking over from Wabukala, Bishop, retired Wabukala. Now he is coming in. What is he inheriting? Where are we? Are we faring better, or we are worse? Because it looks like now we used to hear about corruption. Now it is in the system. It is like now it is systemized, and I think what David D spoke is something that should really make every Kenyan pray for this country. David D said that we budget for corruption. And as the chairman, Bishop David Oginde takes over, where are we, and where do you expect him to take us?
Well, I think in terms of corruption, the corruption index, we are faring badly. I would say it is quite a fact.
We have never, our graph has never risen.
It has never.
We have gone down
actually,
and down and
down. We have gone down. Looking at even the regime from former President Mwai Kibaki. And right now where we are actually in a bad place. But there is hope. Let me say,
there is hope.
When you see, because let me say, when Mwai Kibaki came, just for a brief history, for 24 years. The other former president was actually, he ruled for 24 years. That particular time, there is no road that you would see anywhere. Things were quite bad.
Yeah.
But when he came, within the time that he came, is the time we started seeing even like the Thika highways. In fact, for the first time, Kenya got a highway. That is the particular time. It is one man who was determined to bring a change.
Yeah.
And I feel that I am still hopeful, even if our index is not that good.
Yeah.
I am very hopeful that one man who has the truth and he does not want to be bribed and something like that, he is actually assertive in what he says. He knows what it really means to do the right thing.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that with the men and the team that he is having, with his leadership, I feel that there is something that is going to happen. I know we are not in a good place, but we can only, we cannot sit and say, this is where we belong. Yeah. Because we don't belong there. We need one man who is going to stand and say, well, it doesn't matter. It may cost me my life. It may cost me anything else, but I have to stand on the truth. And I think Bishop David Ogide is one man I am saying that he is going to stand for this country.
A lot of people have faith in him, including myself. I really look up to him. He inspires me so much as a minister of the gospel.
Yes.
And he's one man I'll sit down and listen to his teachings and the preaching, and I really believe in him.
Correct.
But where should he begin? Because now it really looks like corruption has spread like everywhere. Where do you begin to, where should he begin? If it were you, where would you begin? And what would you advise him to do?
Well, let me say, there is a lot also which had been done.
Yeah.
Actually, with the former chair. There are files which are actually have been pending. And I think, as the other time we said, we have a problem. And you see, our corruption actually stems from very many places. You realized when we got the new regime, there are so many cases which were thrown out. And why were they thrown out? It is because we are saying that we are bringing people and there is no evidence. There are some few files which actually have evidence, and it is a proper evidence. And that is exactly what we saw yesterday, where we are finding that Waitito now is not off the hook. He is actually getting, and you know, if you looked at it clearly, one of the man who was
saw
there,
that they froze 1.9
billion. Yes.
1.9 billion.
Yes. And he had to deposit around 24 million with the EACC. So what we are saying is that one of the man who was there and he was actually standing firm is actually the Bishop David Oginde when they were actually pronouncing this. And what we are saying is that there are some few files which we can get evidence. Do you know, by the way, where we need to start? Let's start with a few. And let's be firm. When people see that it is not the business as usual, you know what will happen? When they find a leader who was a very strong man, he has been convicted and he has been put to jail. And his property like that one now, it has been taken. The one that is proven, he took it, he got it through, not through the right ways. And he is put in. That is going to send a word to all the other Kenyans people. Starting from down there up to top there. And it is going to send a word. You remember they used to talk about the small fish and the big fish. We need now not to spare the small and even the big fish. We need to see some few heads, some few people actually being taken up to the head. And when they have been convicted, I believe there is a change. So I would say, Bishop David Ogide, there are some few files already that he has. Those files which had been investigated and they need to be taken forward.
And they have evidence.
He needs to take those files and we need to see motion in terms of moving. You know what we are happening is that people you always used to know, I can do whatever I do, and for many years there is nothing that is going to happen. I wish now he can work together with the judiciary in such a big way and the DCI and all that, such that at the end of the day, several few people who have actually done corrupt deals, they can be put in. And when they are put in,
don't you think that there are, as he sets into office and targets his focus on long-term goals, there are other short-term, immediate ones that he needs to begin to score immediately? And how will he balance between some of the goals that he must actualize now and the long-term ones where now the country has been liberated from the shackles of corruption? How does he balance that? Because he should not only go for the long goals and liberating the economy from corruption, but immediately there are some actual things that he must begin to score, actual goals that he must begin to score immediately he goes to office. Because something like taming the police from collecting bribes is very easy, but there seems to be nobody who wants to look that direction, and it has brought a lot of impunity on the matatu business. Simply because they know the matatu and the matatu and the police are one. And we give them what we give them, we can behave the way we want. Don't you think there are some other things that he must do immediately as he works for the long term?
Yeah, sure. Actually, if in terms of his strategic plan, because a strategic plan has actually the long term, the short term, the mid term, and all that kind of a thing. You cannot actually only go to the long term, because they are the low-hanging fruits. And that's what we are saying. You know, there is one man, and today you are finding that even the matatu sector, it has changed. Do you know why it changed? It changed because of one man. That is Honorable Michuki. You can remember the Michuki time. People used actually to go in a matatu and they overcrowd. But there is a time he went actually to the ground, and actually he went into
a matatu.
Yes. And he said, we must implement, because what he implemented is something that was there for a very long time. For the seat belts and all that, the seating capacity and all that, it was there for a very long time, but there is no one single man who had the power to say. And it is the same time during his regime that we realized that even Nairobi River, it had actually been made clean. What we are saying is there are some few things actually Bishop David Ogide can be able to do, and you have said it right. One, it is some few corruption acts are very glaring, and we know them. They are just there. It only needs the goodwill. A man who is going to stand and say, this regime is corrupt, these people are corrupt, and this is something that we are not going to do. Because right now, by the way, he has also the apparatus. He can be able to use whatever is within him.
And there are laws that are giving him the power to act.
Actually, he has now the power to actually go down and say this is an act of corruption. And as Kenyans, we will also support him, because he is actually now moving to the right thing. So what we are saying, and you are correct in what you are saying, we need him to see some of the small things. And again, there is also another thing that really need to be done, and I think it is not happening in this country. We need to speak about corruption and not to hide it. Because I can tell you, like the long term that you are talking about, it is actually like the procurement in this country is actually the most corrupt department. Procurement. That is not an easy thing for him to do. He needs a lot of goodwill, even from the president and the government itself, for him to be able to get the departments
so that
to do the right things.
We remove the budgeted corruption.
Correct.
Which
that is the thing.
Talked about.
That is the thing. And therefore, he needs also to engage the top. In terms of the leadership, the country, the national government. In terms of, you see, like now, the other time is that, like David D was saying, they are sitting with the departments and they are saying this is actually a wastage and therefore it needs to be removed. What he needs to do is actually to go down there and some few things which are happening, because they are glaring, as you are saying, some of the small corruption. We need actually even also to bring attention to the people in training them. Do you know actually many people, they hear corruption, but do they understand what is corruption? Some of the people, even when they are actually giving some few things for favors, they don't think that it is corruption. It is whereby they say, for the people who don't know God, they say that sometimes you have to do things to protect yourself. You know, you have to do things so that you are not going to have issues. And they don't care whether they are doing the right thing or not the right thing. So there are so many things. We need now to make corruption to be something that is going to be spoken, even in terms of the news. Let's be bringing out some few facts, and we say this is what is happening with this sector. This is what is happening with police. This is what is happening with the teachers. Let me say, even we may be talking about the corruption with the police. Do you know what happens even in schools? Do you know even what happens in when you want to get a job, maybe from the DOD or security apparatus? You find that sometimes you are forced to pay a lot of money for you to get a position. You hear someone is supposed to pay 400,000 for you to get a job,
to be recruited, maybe as a police officer or in the army.
So those are the things that we are saying. There are things which are not. And therefore we need a lot of good.
So somewhere he can begin. He can begin somewhere.
Yes.
And there is hope.
There is.
But also I think together with the action that he can take against corruption, I think a lot of civic education is needed.
That is the thing.
The masses are not mobilized.
True.
Matatus are driving over the pavements and destroying drainage and water canals and pavements. And I think the country was just left without civic education.
Correct.
And we are not talking about decency of life. How does a man live with garbage coming to the door? And the Ministry of Environment has not put guidelines where even the area chief should tell every resident, sweep the door of your house. So that, and then people litter everywhere and wait for the county government to come and do what? And sweep remove the. I think a lot of civic education is needed for our country.
Actually, that's the thing. That awareness, bringing it out in a clear way. And they need to have a program where they create that awareness, such that if we change the culture. Because it is actually changing the culture of the people. Some of the things that we are fighting and calling them corruption, it is more in our head. It is more in our brain. And therefore we must break this culture. You know, the bad tabia. You know, there are some few things which are not right. Once we start breaking some of these things, you realize that people now, because there is that awareness, they will be able to do the right thing. And when they do the right thing, people will be looking at this and saying, no, I will not go this direction. It is not the right way for this country.
Okay. We are taking another short break, and when we return, we want now to look at the political situation and also the state of the economy a little bit to comment here and there. But please don't go very far. We will be right back. Please invite people to watch and send us your comments. We'd be glad to sample some of the comments that you sent to us at the tail end of this live telecast. Please don't go far. We'll be right back.
Are you a church, a pastor, an apostle, an evangelist, or a teacher of the gospel? Broadcast your sermons with us today. Contact EBN TV sales team on 0740 653 453 or 0713 492 865 or 0721 936 847. Book with us now and enjoy great discounts. Welcome to the EBN TV family.
One would ask, who is God of the Bible? Where did the world come from? Is man basically good? What is the hope of man after this life? Is Jesus God? What does the Bible really say about Christianity? How did God come to exist? Is the Bible really the Word of God? This and many other questions on religion need answers. Join Teachers of the Word and theologians every Saturday from 8:30 a.m. on the program Bible Theology Show, where all your questions will be answered only on EBN TV.
And welcome back to the Leadership Challenge Show, live here on EBN TV. We continue with our conversation. David Kamau is together with me again, and thank you so much for being here. We've been talking much about the leadership of this country and what the president has been doing to correct our economy because it was not doing well. And it is good now we pick and try to see where are we now and help us to understand. But at the same time, it's good to understand the political landscape. How is it looking like now? Because there were to be mandamano on yesterday.
Yes.
And then they gathered and they said now they have called off the mandamano. But at the same time, they left with a threat that at the slightest indication that the government is not willing, we'll go back to the streets. So not because mandamanos are over, because that is what they said. But what do you think made them to retreat from the mandamano on Thursday?
Well, Reverend, this mandamano thing.
Yes.
From where I sit.
Yes.
We are trying to achieve a good thing, but using the long lane.
Okay.
There is no way that we are going to get anything from those demonstrations. In fact, we are going to put our people that we are trying to fight for into a worse of position. Why we are saying this is because you make people not to work for 2 days.
Yes.
Some of these people, they depend on the daily amount that they get for them to feed alone.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you make them not to work for 2 days, what you are saying is that you want these people again to die because they have nothing.
Yeah.
Because people actually, Kenya, actually, if you look at the statistics, you realize on around 18 million people, you realize actually the people who are actually employed permanently are actually not more than 3 million. These other people are actually going and looking for jobs to do. And that's why we are saying, I think one of the things that made even these people to realize that they cannot continue with this is because, one, people are also getting tired. You know, and they are also clever in the sense that they can be able to see the mood in the country. That people are actually getting so slowly. Do you know all these things about Maandamano? Do you know where it is actually taking place? You go to Mombasa. Where is Maandamano at Mombasa?
There is none.
You go to Ebu. Where is Maandamano? You go to Kiabu. Where is Maandamano? It is actually here in Nairobi that where the leaders are, they are running up and down. Kisumu and Migori. And these people are actually, you find, they are actually making even their regions to have a problem because all the other people are busy looking for money. They are looking for school fees and all these kind of things. And therefore, I think what is happening is that the opposition, and I will say, frankly, they have realized that this is not sustainable. We cannot do this thing when we are only a very small group of people that are actually pushing this agenda. Because the thing is, do you know why the talks, bipartisan talks were stopped? It's actually because of 2 men. 2 men in a country where we have over 50 million people. Who are these 2 men who are that powerful that they can stop the talks? It is actually something which is not right, and it is something that people have realized the direction that we are taking is not the right direction. So why they are actually stopping this thing is because they are also getting pressure from the people. The people that they are leading, they seem, it's like after some few days,
Okay.
they are not really so much enthusiastic about doing what they are doing.
Yeah.
Because do you know, and this is what we need to tell the Kenyans, the truth. These people are not fighting for the Kenyans people. They are fighting for their own position.
The three principles,
Yes.
Raila, Kalonzo, and Mother Karua.
Yes, there is really nothing they are fighting for the people of Kenya. I
Yeah.
can tell you. And why I want to tell you there is nothing they are fighting for the people of Kenya is because some of the demands they have, they already know they are dead at arrival. There is nowhere they will go. I can tell you, most likely, there is nothing like opening the server, which will be done. And they know. And they are trying to bring the issues, which they know they are almost next to impossible. Now, it is good thing that they are talking about the cost of living. They are talking about the unga.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, bringing down the unga to 100. Why is it that it was not possible during the regime of the President Uhuru to bring it to 100? What is the magic that is going to happen within these few days
With Ruto.
that Ruto's government will be able to bring? You know, it is unreasonable.
Yeah.
And these guys, they have realized some of the things that they are talking about. Kenyans are becoming clever. They can see this direction, it will not bring unga. And that's why you can hear the president actually asking, by putting sufurias kwa
on your
kichwa,
head.
is it really going to bring down the price of
cost of
unga
living.
from 100 and something to 100? It cannot.
Yeah.
And this is what we are saying. Let the leaders be honest.
But basically, God has intervened for us in a big way, and almost throughout the country,
True.
in every farm there is good crop
Yes.
that is coming up, and maybe in a month or so
True.
there'll be an harvest.
Correct.
So definitely the cost of living will come down.
It will.
But let us know about the oil, because I think oil and the cost of fuel, petrol and diesel, and kerosene for
Yes.
those who use it, and cooking gas are things that are dear in the hearts of many Kenyans.
Correct.
So please, where are we now? Because they said gas is coming down. Has it really come down? And fuel is still at 170 petrol, and diesel is still at 60 something. So where are we actually?
So something like the gas, yesterday again there was some few structural changes which were made.
Yeah.
In the sense that you see the VAT, the exportation, the duties and all that, they have actually been removed on the gas and all that.
Yeah.
So what will happen is that I think we are looking at a scenario of 1 to 2 months whereby you will find that some of the things that we are talking about, they will come down. So there is a lot that the government is trying to do. Some of actually in increasing some taxes on some of the areas and reducing taxes on some of the areas. Like now they have realized that gas is something important. They don't want people to go and start cutting trees all the time.
Yeah.
So I think there are some few things they have realized they are important, and they have reduced even the duties from all this. So we expect it actually to happen. The number 2 is actually in terms of the fuel, and this is actually pertinent also. It is part of the production. We said like diesel is actually part of production.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you look at the diesel, it really also need to come down. Equally the petrol, because of what we are doing.
So we expected it to come down by when? We expect it to come down by
I know
when?
the first you remember, I think is it a month ago?
Yeah.
We received the first
consignment of the government to government.
The government to government. I think one of the things that need to happen, I think, is more in terms of the there is a formula, that formula that for fuel, and I looked at it another day, and I realized there are so many things actually which are in that. One day we'll come and we'll actually display it here, so that the Kenyans can see exactly where is actually why is it that we are having the prices of petrol, of diesel at that state, because there are quite a number of things that are actually in that formula. And what they say is that the members of parliament, they need, actually there is a time they had a discussion on how they can be able to look at that formula and change it. I think they need to change it, and given that now they are able now to predict. You know, there before they were saying they cannot predict because of the fluctuations of the currency, the US dollars. Right now they are able to predict because they are actually building the dollars within a long time, and they are actually coming to government using also in terms of our own currency. So this one now, it is easier for us to predict. So even for me, I would actually have thought that within the month of June we should start seeing, and I'm very hopeful, we should start seeing this price go down, because I can tell you it is quite expensive, and that's why I'm saying what Azimio is doing is the right thing in terms of actually talking about the cost of living. The issue is, let's now do it the best way, but not doing it through disruptive.
When you say Azimio are doing it the right way, you know, I also wonder, don't you think Honorable Raila, Kalonzo, and Mother Karua, and Wajakoya, and any other person, they should have sat down and written maybe suggestions to the government and get an appointment to meet. There is nothing wrong with Raila meeting Ruto and to give him ideas of which can be incorporated to make the lives of Kenyans better. Should we always go to the streets to make noise rather than, you know, do some simple things that we can do that can go a long way? So you say they are doing the right thing, but have they ever written a document suggesting how they can lower that cost of unga, how the fuel can come down? Have they ever written something like that?
Actually, the right thing that I'm saying they are doing, speaking about how to bring down the cost, is the right thing I'm talking about. But the way they are doing it is where I started by saying the demonstration will never help. So they are looking for the right thing, but through the long way. So that is where we are saying, all of us, we agree as Kenyan that the cost of living is actually high. But now the question is, what now Azimio are doing is not the right way in terms of achieving the same thing that we are looking for,
because it is already disruptive.
It is disruptive. So what we are saying is, let them point that we can be able to reduce the price of the unga. But you see, like now, yesterday I was looking at the former CS, Eugene Wamarwa, just saying one of our demand is that unga should come from to 100 shillings. The question is, they are only speaking things, but in terms of what you are saying, are they really explaining that this is the way to bring this unga? Because what they are telling us is one thing. They are telling us put subsidies. Subsidies on what? The other time that we were talking in terms of the Uhuru government, the subsidies right now, the people are owed because there is no money that they were paid. We created a scenario saying there are subsidies. Money actually got lost, and the people who are actually supposed to benefit on the subsidies, they never benefited. So what we are talking about, there was no money, and right now in this country there is no money, and that's why the government is saying it is not sustainable. We cannot sustain through subsidies. So the issue is, we know this is actually, we need to bring the cost of living down. But the question is, how way? And that is the way you are saying. They need to bring a memo. They can actually say, this is the way that we think. But when they become disruptive, that the economy, like now, for example, do you know every day on Monday, on Tuesday, how much money this country lost? If it was yesterday, they had said there will be maandamano, we would have lost a lot of money. And that is actually, you are talking about a good thing, but what you are doing is actually even making this position to be worse. So what we are saying is, they are pointing the state of the economy, but now the problem is, they should not do what they are doing, because whatever they are doing is disruptive. It will never bring results. So that is where we are saying.
Now give some hope to Kenyans, because we want to know whether the government is doing anything to deliver what they promised. And I don't know, from where I sit, I think I've seen one come to pass, because I'm a farmer and I registered as a farmer. And do you know, I have messages right now on my phone that are requested me to go and get fertilizer. And I have already gotten fertilizer for my farm. And if you look at my maize, it's looking really good. You saw it.
Posted it.
Yeah, I posted it. It's looking good. I collected fertilizer, and now they have requested me to go for the final top dressing. I have the code here, so I just go with the code. I redeem my the bags that I filled for. I think the government intervening to increase production, I think they have done something, but which other ways is the government fulfilling their pledges to Kenyans?
One, I think, and it is good that you have pointed out, because I know the other time we were here, we were saying that fertilizer has not gone to many people. But I am happy that right now we are talking about a different scenario, because we talked about the issue was more to do with distribution, and they explained exactly what they are doing. So it is a positive thing for them. If you look at some of the other things that the government is doing, and like now this week, actually the government has done quite a lot. You saw they have signed some memorandum actually with some other governments in terms of the labor force, because we have realized that what is it that is ailing this country is that we may not have minerals, we may not have so many other things for us to sustain our people, but there is one resource that we have in plenty, and that is the human capital. And what is it that the president is doing right now? He has signed something with Japan. He has signed something with German government. And you know, when you look at what we are doing, he is opening markets for the Kenyan people, such that we can get Kenyans people can get decent jobs without these exploitations. You know, there are times that you used to hear about Saudi Arabia and not having the proper structures. So the president has actually gone forward himself to be able to say, look, we said we want to create jobs for the Kenyan people. What is it that he has been doing this week? The whole of this week, by the way, he has actually been creating the jobs for the Kenyan people. And that is another thing that we are saying, really the government is actually doing something. They may not achieve 100% what they talked in terms of their manifesto, but we can see there are several things that they are talking about, and things are happening. And you realize something is going to happen sooner or later. After some few days, we realize things are going to happen. Number two, in fact, it is the agriculture, now they're creating jobs. Then the number three, they talked about the hustlers fund. And it is something they need to speak about it even more. Because
they say they are going to increase.
Yes. Do you know, actually they are getting to the second phase, because they started with the first phase in terms of every Kenyan would be able to get, depending on your level of your business. And can I tell you, right now as we speak, allowed 20 billion has actually been dispersed to the people. And people keep on borrowing and returning, repaying all that. It has gotten to allow 20 billion, which is actually something that several people, if you are to call people and ask them, what has this done? There are quite a number of people who will tell you that my business has been able to grow out of this.
Okay. I wanted to know, yes, there are those things that they appear to be doing very well. Now, what are some of the things that have not yet lifted from the ground and yet they promised?
Well, let me say, one of the things that is so evident, and it has not happened. For example, you see, like the CBC.
The CBC.
There was a lot of talk about the CBC.
The CBC.
Even right now, I think the parents, They
are confused.
They are very much confused.
Yeah.
They do not know what is happening. They formed a committee. They talked about where it is going to be. You know, they talked about very many things. And I can tell you that is something that already, even in the minds of the parent, they don't know what is happening.
So the governments need to do something about that.
It needs to do something. They need to bring clarity in terms of that system.
Yeah.
Because right now, from where I sit, I have children who are actually past CBC, and I have one in CBC. But I am not even sure, even for me, which direction we are taking.
Okay. Another thing that they have not done.
The other thing,
this corruption.
Yes, the other thing, the corruption.
They have not done much about it.
Let me tell you, and that is one of the things earlier that they were challenged by the Azimio team. And they were told, we are not seeing anything addressing corruption in your manifesto. And they said about judiciary and many other things. But I can tell you that again is not a good edict. The government need to wake up because we are not feeling them in terms of dealing with corruption. It is an area whereby we need to see more force. They need actually to drive.
The president needs to come out more forceful.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because you see, the thing is, we were told by the former president, and that is a serious statement from a head of state. Yeah. When he says 2 billion is being lost every day. Yeah. Then, if there is anything that this president now we have
is to rescue those 2 billion.
Rescue 2 billion
every day.
But we are not seeing that move. We are not seeing that energy. That every day we are saying that we are actually moving this way to come. We should be having even an index telling us, by the way, it is true that at that particular time we were losing 2 billion. Right now we have been able to rescue 300 million or something like that. Those are the things we need to
I understand we are running out of time, but you must address something about what the government is doing about the national debt, which is really a concern. Are they handling it right, correctly? And also the cost of running government. Are they trimming on spending by government on salaries and recurrence, or they are increasing and expanding? And I think that is the last thing you need to say. Please address us.
You know, in terms of, I think also we watch David D again. Yeah. In terms of these debts. And actually, even for him, and he is inside the government, he feels this debt is actually a big issue.
And there's wastage.
There is a lot of wastage. And actually, the worst thing is that wastage, several people benefited from here. Right now, I can say the national debt is actually a problem. The government need really not only some few people like David D. They need actually to have a consortium that is going to give them ideas on how are we able to handle this elephant, because it is big. Yeah. Because even right now, it is not that the government is not borrowing. It is borrowing. Yeah. The issue is we need to get to know what is it that is going to be done, because you see debts are maturing right now and they must be paid. So the question is, are they negotiating? If they are not negotiating, they need to tell us as Kenyans people, what is it that we are doing? Yeah. Because that again, I think it is not coming out so clearly. And that is the responsibility of the government, because we already know where our debt is. We need to be told this is what we are doing. And that is also something I would term as the government failure, because it is not giving proper information to its people. Wow. So they need to bring it to the people and tell them these are some of the things that we are doing to be able to curb this. Number two, you have said about the government. They have increased, and I'm telling you, from 23 CAS to 50 CAS, it is something that again is not reconciling in the mind of Kenyans. Yeah. How would you actually be saying that we don't have money, yet you go and you double, in fact more than double the CAS positions, you create positions. So this government also, it is also wasteful. I would say they have not justified to the Kenyans some of the moves they are doing, because what I have realized is that actually they are trying to reward They are people.
Yeah.
And you cannot keep on rewarding the people to the expense of the Kenyan people.
Yeah.
It is not godly, and I would say it is not right.
Okay.
And therefore, I would actually speak to this government, and I will tell them, let's do the right thing. Don't create positions to make the other people to suffer. Because how are these people going to be paid? Today in the news,
The wage bill.
you have seen the salaries.
Yeah.
And you know what is happening again? Do you know the taxes?
Yeah.
The taxes which are being introduced, even the turnover tax, we'll talk about the taxes another day. Even the turnover tax, they want even to move it from 1 to 3%. Do you know that what really that means to the Kenyan people?
It's going to be heavy on them.
Yes, very heavy.
And the cost of living will still go.
It is going to go up. And that's why we are saying the government also need to be careful in terms of, they say that there are so many things to be done, but they were being done by 23 people.
Yeah.
How comes they want to do it with 50 people? They are also not cognizant about what is happening with the Kenyan people.
All right.
Yes.
Wow. That was quite a conversation here on EBN TV about the state of our nation and the state of our economy and the state of religion in this country. And David, you've given us very good analysis and guidelines on the matters that were for conversation today. And thank you for being here. And my dear viewer, keep it EBN the rest of the day. We will be here again another Friday to analyze on current matters and things that are dear to Kenyans, because we are looking forward to a time when the cost of living is going to come down. Otherwise, have a wonderful day and God bless you.
Thank you.